This week on the farm, the first thing I did was I found this base to a bandsaw out in the junk pile, and so I painted it, and then I had my dad cut me some scrap boards to fit the top, and I made a little coffee table for my swing. The boards were part of an old privacy fence, so it should last a while once I paint it. The only thing I had to buy was the green spray paint. I've been wanting a little table out here so that I would have a place to set a drink. Looks pretty good for stuff that came out of the junk pile. While I had paint out, I decided to go ahead and repaint the windmill. This is another trash to treasure project. My uncle was going to throw this away because the leg had broken too. I just had to have Dad patch weld it, and now it's good as new. That's all that was wrong with it. If you've ever priced these at farm stores, then you know that $12 for paint was a steal. Also this week I had to plant the sweet potato slips. They are looking terrible. They've been in the water way too long. A few days ago, Dad used his potato healer to make the ridges for me. I'm just making a little trough so that I can soak the ground good before I plant them. I'm going to mud them in the same way I did the broccoli and cabbage. I'll link that video in the description and at the end. I only had enough for 3 rows, so when I go to the greenhouse, I'll have to get some more slips. They'll look mostly dead for a few days, but then they'll snap out of it. Betty and her 14 chicks are all still doing good. The corn we planted was NK 199, and this seed was 3 years old. In a few weeks, it'll be time to pull the garlic. I made a bean trellis out of some bamboo poles, and I planted greasy beans. I've heard about them 2 or 3 years ago, and I always wanted to try them, and I finally found the seeds at Baker's Creek. And this was my experiment where I transplanted some of the broccoli and cabbage and kale into little soil pots, and then the rest of them I just mudded in. So let's see which looks the best. This is the row that I transplanted the seedlings into soil pots. And this is the row that I mudded in. Honestly, there's hardly any difference between the two, and mudding them in is completely free, so I'll be doing it that way from now on. At this end of the row I planted beets, and farther down I planted carrots. And towards the end of the row I planted one Charleston gray watermelon And I also planted a hill of what I hope is cantaloupe, but it could very well be cucumber because I couldn't really tell what seeds I had. I planted these potatoes on March 29th and they are really starting to look good. These were potatoes that I planted early March, and they are one row of Red Norland and one of Yukon Gold. I planted the peas in late February and they are really starting to look good. These 3 tomatoes are Rutgers, and I've never grew them before, so I had to try them. And these are ones that I mudded in. They take a little while to take off, but once they do, they'll catch up in a hurry. There's nothing planted at this end of the garden yet. There in the middle is the sweet potatoes, and I'm getting ready to plant all kinds of beans at the other end. Last year I started this sage plant from seed, and I can't believe how beautiful it is. And this is a chamomile plant that came up from seed, and that's lemon balm. This is our asparagus patch, and as you can see, milkweed must love asparagus. We've had this here about 20 years, and we just let the milkweed grow with it because we know how important it is to monarch butterflies. And if I can find some of the caterpillars this summer, I'll show you how much they love it. The American goldfinches are going to love those sunflowers. Here I planted 4 rows of Dixie Lee peas. I like them best when you pick them green, and then some of them you let start to turn a little bit of a brownish color. You shell out the brownish colored ones and you mix them with the green, and you cook them with a little bit of bacon grease like you would green beans, and there's nothing like them. Then I planted 1 row of Blue Lake beans. Next I'm going to plant 4 rows of Roma green beans. If you've never tried Roma, they're really good. It's actually my favorite bush green bean. If you have a local greenhouse that sells seeds, they're usually way cheaper than the little seed packets that you get at Walmart or somewhere. Here I got a half a pound for $3. I actually bought these last September, but if you keep them in the freezer, they're fine. Now I'm going to plant some store-bought kidney beans. I'm going to start by planting what I had left over from last year, but these just come from the regular old grocery store and they work great. I'm going to plant 1 row of okra. Now I'm going to make some hills. I'm going to plant 1 with cucumber, a couple with zucchini, and 2 or 3 with yellow squash. I saw this variety of cucumber at the greenhouse. I've never tried it before, so I'm going to. I'm just going to do 1 hill of cucumbers here because I like to grow cucumber on a trellis, so I'll be planting more later. I think I planted 3 hills of zucchini. And then yellow squash on the end. When I was at the greenhouse, they had mortgage lifter tomatoes, and it said it was an heirloom, so I decided to try it too. I also picked up 1 Cherokee purple.